Hello everyone and welcome to the Project 1 video. As the week 6 directions state, this is actually not an exercise. Your main goal this week is to finish Project 1. You should be working on it. You should have been working on it. What this is basically kind of a culmination of the skills that we've learned thus far. I've quickly put together a scene that I'm going to show you a few things that you should be thinking about as you head into your Project 1. I've just finished the street discussion. I posted some things regarding sort of concept on that movie, but also sort of some technical things. Some of the technical things that you guys asked, I'm going to sort of hit upon here in terms of layers, in terms of movie clips. Again, these are all skills you should have at this point. I'm simply sort of putting them together in a particular way that hopefully gives you guys some hints in terms of interesting ways to think about scenes and how to organize your movie. I'm going to start this by actually going into my library. You'll notice a couple things. First and foremost, I'm going to double click on, give me a second, the bird movie clip. I brought this in from the other exercise that we did as something to use. You'll notice that I colored in the bird wings, and I did that via the paint bucket and the brush. So I'm going to sort of quickly show you how I did that. I simply took brush and sort of made an enclosed area, and then took the paint bucket and filled that area. This way our bird isn't see-through anymore. Okay. Second, so that's a movie clip. I have these in a particular order because I want to sort of group these things. Second, I have a character called Dude. Dude is very, very simple. In the spirit of the street, I made him a stick figure. And what I had him do, and I'm just sort of creating a faux scene here, let's call it sort of sun going down, guy is a little stressed out. I don't know. Mine isn't particularly for a movie, but really just to show you the possibilities. All this is a 50 frame movie clip, and on sort of frames 1 through 10, his eyes are over there. His frame 10 through 25, his eyes are over there, and they go back and forth. Okay, he's going to sort of do that forever. Okay, and you're going to sort of see him just sitting, doing nothing on the scene. We can sort of change the pace of his eyes moving around by changing the keyframe. So maybe he does it more quickly and then stops. But this is basically a 50 frame movie clip which we're going to sort of hit on the same timeline. Okay. Next I have a graphic called hills. These are simply 2 or 3 different sets of hills that as we sort of move back into space get lighter to sort of create depth. Okay, these are pretty wide. I know my movie, and I'm going to bring this in here, I know my document size, and I'll talk about that in a second, is 800 pixels wide, so I made sure all these were wider than that so it's going to fit. Okay. I have something called sky, and this is going to be layered in, and it's going to get darker, and we're going to alter that via the alpha properties. And next I have sun. Okay, again, sun and sky are simple one frame graphics, not much to them. We're going to alter them once we come over into the scene. Okay, so I'm going to come over into the scene. And first and foremost, I'm going to actually just show you what I ended up with. And again, I just did this in a few minutes to sort of give you an idea of some possibilities. So I'm going to test my movie. Okay, it's kind of big. A little smaller. Okay, we have the sun going up. There goes the bird. We have the sun going down back over the mountains. So imagine this is sort of a, cinematic zooming into a person. Person is stressed out about sun going down. Who knows? We're creating some drama. We're also taking up a good amount of time. Now, I'm not showing you this because I want you to take up a ton of time with meaningless scenes, but as I stated in the week 6 document, one of the hardest things to do and one of the hardest things, it's not technically difficult, but often people everything moves way too quick in these first movies. They think, oh, something's going to happen over 50 frames. Well, that's only 2 seconds. Okay, so think about how long we should be able to see something. This is 150 frames, so it's approximately, I don't know, 6 seconds or so. That's a good amount of time to sort of lay down a feeling, a thought, some information about a scene. Now, let's go over how I did each of these. Okay, first and foremost, I have Dude, and I'm just calling him Dude. You'll notice that pretty much all these layers are motion tweens. Now, Dude doesn't move, but I scale him. Okay, and I scale him to create sort of that zoomed in element. Okay, everything is scaled a little bit except for the sky, which is going to be sort of a blank background. Okay, so dude scales up. You'll sort of see as we move through that he's getting larger. Okay, the hill's background is also scaled up. Okay, and they're scaled up at approximately the same amount. I sort of doubled their size so that we can sort of see what's happening. You'll see that basically the sky, and I'm moving this back and forth, the sky doesn't sort of scale up because it's a simple flat color. We wouldn't notice it changing size. Okay, the bird is a simple motion tween. I have it layered so he comes up over the hills, behind the guy, over the sun. So we're using the layering here. The sun is, and I'll sort of talk about this in relation to the properties. The sun is a motion tween along a path. It is behind, or sorry, on top of the sky, but behind the hill's background. Okay, so it goes up and then it goes out underneath those hills. Okay, last but not least is sky. Okay, and I'm going to talk about the sun and sky here in a second. Let's take, the same thing happens on both sun and sky. I'm going to click over on the properties window, and on the sun, and I'll just sort of get it highlighted. One thing I'm going to show you here is how to turn layers off. If you're clicking around and you just want to see what's called the wireframe of something, you can turn them on and off via this. So I want to turn, actually these are, I want to turn off the hill's background. You'll see this little sort of rectangle here that allows us to turn something off so that we can select something behind it. So I'm selecting the sun here. And you'll notice that over on color effect, we've dealt with alpha. You can also deal with brightness. I'm going to think about this scene as sort of the sun going down, everything sort of getting a little bit darker. So here I have the brightness kind of at normal. And then during the motion tween, we obviously affect motion, and I pulled this curvature up. But I go to this last frame of that, and I'm going to click on that sun, and you'll notice that I can sort of change the brightness. So I can get this sun to sort of go darker as it's sort of heading out into the sky. I did the exact same thing with the sky. You'll notice it starts here. This is sort of its original color, which is the color that it is in the library as a graphic. And as I go all the way up to frame 50, or sorry, 150, if I click on that sky again, I can affect its brightness. Okay, I can make it go all the way to light and dark, but I'm going to make it considerably darker. Okay, so we're doing lots of things here. Okay, I'm going to turn my hill's background back on. We have a zoom that's the sun is zoomed in, the hill's background is zoomed in, the dude is zoomed in, and the bird is actually zoomed in a little bit. Okay, the sky again is not. We have a brightness via the motion tween happening on the sky as well as the sun. And we have a simple sort of motion tween happening with the bird. The only thing I did there was sort of color that movie clip in. So the last thing I'll sort of say is sort of paying attention to time. I can't stress that enough. We're going to see a lot of, well, hopefully not too many, but if you are looking at something and think, wow, that's moving too fast, people that don't know what you're trying to do with your movie and don't know what you're trying to convey are going to really think it's fast. Okay, so this is a 30-second movie. You're creating a very, very simple sentiment. You're trying to tell a simple story. Don't get caught up too much in too many scenes. I would think about 4 or 5 scenes potentially, depending on your narrative, that you can sort of break up and say, okay, I'm going to get this done in scene 1. I'm going to get this done in scene 2. I'm going to quickly go to scene 3 for 4 seconds, and then we're going to wrap it up with an ending scene. Your narrative, your idea, what it is you're trying to say and do with this movie should be the sort of guiding effort in relation to that. A couple quick things that I mentioned on the week 6. You can go to modify document to sort of change. I made this 800 by 800. I would at least go up to 800 by 600. I think the default is 540 by 450 or something like that. That's quite small. I would make this a little bit bigger. Okay. Also notice your background. I sort of state, is your background white? If so, do you want it white? Did you want it to be that way, or was it more just a happenstance because that's the default size, or sorry, default color? So take a look at this, take a look at how it's structured, take a look at the fact that I have these very organized and their sort of naming as well as their ordering to create something that's quite simple but hopefully conveys, you know, an idea, a feeling. Again, I did this quite quickly and made the symbols very, very simple, but some effort in terms of maybe drawing this character, adding some textures, some depth, even more depth to something like a background is going to make this first movie, which is just 30 seconds, hopefully a bit more complex. Think about your narrative. That's the most important thing. Conveying an idea, conveying a sentiment, that is completely up to you. This is not a technical exercise. This is a exercise or a project that conveys a particular idea. Please take a look at the example that I posted last week. I think it's a very good example. It's a static scene with things sort of quickly added to it in order to sort of talk about an idea. The idea in that movie being kind of the desire for more stuff, and sort of what does that get us. It uses a simple metaphor of you know, a cup of hot chocolate or coffee to sort of get that done, and I think it does it quite well. Email me with any questions. I have a couple of emails I got to answer. I will answer this afternoon. And good luck with Project One. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Most of you have done pretty well with these technical exercises, and we are about 5 or 6 weeks into it here, so we're finally at a project. Again, email me with any concerns, and look forward to seeing your projects next week.